I will never leave your husband alone, because he is my best friend. Those were the words that changed my life forever. I never imagined that the man I married, the man I stood beside at the altar, the man who promised me love, loyalty, and protection would turn me into the side chick in my own marriage. My name was Lucy, and this is how I became invisible in my own home. Everyone who looked at us from the outside thought we were the perfect couple. Stephen was successful, handsome, calm, soft-spoken, a senior project manager in a growing construction company. And me? I was the quiet woman behind him, the supportive wife, the one who smiled, stayed home, prayed, waited, and believed. But there was another woman. Her name was Linda, and to Stephen, she was not just a friend. Lucy's friends often said she was too gentle for this world. If someone stepped on her shoes in a crowded bus, she apologized first. If a waiter served her the wrong food, she smiled and said thank you. If someone raised their voice at her, she lowered hers even more. Conflict scared her. Noise scared her. Confrontation terrified her. Her mother had raised her that way. A good woman keeps her home by keeping quiet, her mother always said. Marriage is not a place for stubborn women. So Lucy learned to swallow pain and call it patience. She learned to smile through disrespect and call it love. Stephen noticed her softness early. He liked it. Lucy never questioned him, never checked his phone, never raised her voice, never demanded attention. She was the kind of woman men felt comfortable neglecting. Linda was the opposite. She was loud, confident, bold, always laughing, always shining, always present. Stephen and Linda had met at work years before Lucy entered his life. Everyone thought they would end up together. They shared jokes, shared secrets, shared long, late-night phone calls. But Stephen didn't marry Linda. He married Lucy, and everyone was surprised. But what people didn't know was that Stephen never truly let Linda go. He simply placed her quietly beside his marriage. Linda had her own special place in Stephen's life. She knew his schedule better than Lucy did. She knew his moods better than Lucy did. She even knew what food he liked more than Lucy did. Whenever Stephen traveled for work, Linda somehow ended up on the same trip. Whenever Stephen was tired, Linda was the one who checked on him. Whenever Stephen came home late, Linda already knew why. Lucy stayed home waiting, praying, believing. Then came Valentine's Day. Stephen walked into the house holding 2 bags. One was small, one was big. The big one was for Linda. Inside it were red roses, a shiny bracelet, a brand new iPhone. The small bag was for Lucy. Inside it was a blender. Stephen smiled and said casually, "You always complain that you need a blender anyway." Lucy forced a smile. She said thank you, and she went to bed that night wondering when her marriage had become a joke. She still did not speak. She still did not fight. She still did not know that the silence she was protecting was slowly destroying her. But everything was about to change, because the next thing Stephen did would push Lucy into a truth she could no longer ignore, and by the time she finally found her voice, it might already be too late. The wedding day was supposed to be Lucy's happiest memory. She woke up before sunrise, her hands trembled as her bridesmaids helped her into her dress. Her heart beat fast, not from fear, but from hope. This was the day she believed her life would finally feel secure. This was the day she thought she would become Stephen's first choice. But what happened next quietly rewrote her place in her own marriage. The church was full. Music played softly, cameras flashed, family members smiled, the pastor stood ready. Lucy stood at the altar, alone. She waited. Minutes passed. Then suddenly soft laughter echoed from behind the crowd. Lucy turned, and there he was, Stephen. But he wasn't walking toward her, he was dancing. Dancing slowly with another woman in white. Linda. At first Lucy thought her eyes were lying, but the guests were staring. Some whispered, some laughed nervously, some recorded with their phones. Linda had her hands resting comfortably on Stephen's shoulders as if she belonged there, as if she was the bride. Lucy stood frozen. Her heart began to shake. And Stephen smiled. He didn't see a problem. He only waved lightly and said, "Relax, Lucy, it's just Linda. She's happy for us." Linda leaned close to him and whispered something that made him laugh. Lucy's chest tightened. That was the first day she realized she was not alone in her marriage. After the wedding, Linda became a permanent visitor. Too permanent. Sunday lunches, Linda was there. Movie nights, Linda joined. Stephen coming back from trips, Linda arrived first. She even had her own slippers inside Lucy's house, her own cup, her own chair. Lucy never complained. She just kept smiling and swallowing. One evening, Lucy heard laughter from the living room. Stephen and Linda were sitting close on the couch. Linda leaned into him and joked loudly, "Marriage has really tamed you, Stephen. If I was living here, this house wouldn't be so quiet." Lucy stood in the doorway. Stephen laughed. He did not correct her. He did not defend Lucy. He simply said, "You know, Linda, she jokes too much." But Lucy knew something else. Linda was not joking. She was claiming. From that day, Linda started acting like the real wife. She commented on how Lucy cooked. She rearranged the house. She spoke to Stephen about plans Lucy never heard of. And slowly, quietly, Lucy started to disappear. But Linda was not finished. She had something bigger planned, something that would humiliate Lucy publicly and force her to finally open her eyes. And that moment was coming on Lucy's first wedding anniversary. Lucy counted the days to her first wedding anniversary. She believed foolishly that this day might heal something. Maybe Stephen would finally choose her. Maybe he would finally see her. Maybe this marriage would finally feel like hers. So she prepared. She cleaned the house. She lit candles. She cooked Stephen's favorite meals. She wore the dress he once said made her look beautiful. She waited. Stephen did not come home on time. The candles melted, the food cooled. Her hope slowly collapsed. Then the door opened. Lucy's heart lifted and immediately fell. Stephen walked in, with Linda, her arm hooked comfortably around his. "Oh," Stephen said casually, "we ran into each other. Linda's mother is in town. She didn't want to go home yet." Lucy stared at them. Her voice was trapped in her throat. Linda smiled sweetly. "I hope you cooked enough for 3. Stephen finally noticed the candles. "Oh, were you planning something?" he asked. Lucy nodded slowly. "It's our anniversary." Linda laughed softly. "How cute." She walked past Lucy and sat in Stephen's chair. Not beside him, in his chair. Stephen did not stop her. When Stephen went to shower, Linda leaned close to Lucy. "If I lived here," she whispered, "this house would never be this quiet." Lucy felt something break inside her, but she still said nothing. They sat to eat. Linda laughed with Stephen, shared inside jokes, reminded him of memories Lucy was not part of. Then Linda tasted the food. She smiled. "It's okay," she said politely, "but Stephen likes mine better." Stephen hesitated, then shrugged. "I mean, hers is better, no offense." Lucy's hands began to shake. That was the moment. Her silence expired. "I just wanted one evening," Lucy said softly. "One evening alone with my husband." Stephen snapped. Why are you acting like a jealous child?" "You brought another woman into our house on our anniversary," Lucy whispered. "How did you expect me to feel?" Linda watched, smiling quietly. Stephen slammed his hand on the table. "I need space," he said suddenly. He packed a small bag. Lucy followed him, crying, apologizing, not even sure what she was apologizing for. Then he said 3 words that shattered her completely. "Linda, let's go." They left. Together. Lucy stood at the door, alone, watching the woman who had taken her place drive away with the man she married. She did not know that what she had just lost was not only her husband, but something far more precious. Lucy spent 3 days alone in the house. She did not eat. She barely slept. She walked from room to room like a ghost. She called Stephen again and again. No answer. Her tears dried into silence. Her silence turned into dizziness. On the 3rd day, Lucy collapsed. Her knees gave way. The world spun. A neighbor rushed her to the hospital. Bright lights, cold sheets, soft voices. Then a doctor stood beside her bed and spoke gently. "You fainted from exhaustion and stress," he said. "This happens often in early pregnancy." Lucy froze. "Pregnancy?" she whispered. The doctor nodded. "You're about 3 weeks along. The baby is fine." Lucy placed her trembling hand on her stomach. A life was growing inside her. Stephen's child. And he didn't even know. She tried calling again. No answer. Unknown to her, Stephen was in a hotel with Linda, laughing, drinking, resting. His phone buzzed non-stop. Linda finally took it and blocked Lucy's number. "If you want peace," she said, "she has to be cut off." Stephen hesitated, then allowed it. Lucy's fear grew. She contacted Stephen's friends, his family. No one knew where he was. Her mind began to break. Finally, she begged for Linda's number. Linda answered calmly. Lucy told her about the pregnancy. Linda paused, then smiled through the phone. She gave Lucy an address, a quiet lake reserve. "Stephen will be there later," Linda said sweetly. "Go early and surprise him." Lucy agreed. She didn't know she was being led into a trap. Night fell slowly as Lucy arrived at the lake reserve. The air was cold. The trees stood silently, like witnesses guarding secrets. The lake lay unnaturally still. Lucy remained inside her car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. Every instinct in her body warned her to turn back, but the child growing inside her pushed her forward. She stepped out. Linda stood near the water, waving lightly, her smile calm, too calm. "Stephen is already on the other side of the lake," Linda said casually. "He came earlier than we expected." Lucy froze. "You said I would meet him before he arrived." Linda sighed. "My phone is dead. The only way across is by canoe." Lucy stared at the dark water. Something felt terribly wrong, but she was exhausted, desperate, and she still believed. They stepped into the canoe. The paddle dipped quietly into the water. Halfway across, Linda stopped rowing. "You know Stephen loves me, right?" she said softly. Lucy frowned. "He married me." Linda turned slowly. "He married you because you are gentle, easy to manage, but I am the woman he truly wants." Lucy's chest tightened. "Then why didn't he marry you?" she asked. Linda smiled coldly. "Because he knows I would never tolerate what you tolerate." Lucy swallowed hard. "And Stephen isn't here, is he?" Linda nodded calmly. "I lied. I wanted you to hear the truth before this ends." Lucy tried to stand. "You brought me here on purpose." "Yes." Anger flashed through Lucy. Now she understood. Linda lunged. The canoe rocked violently. Lucy screamed. The canoe flipped. Cold water swallowed her. She struggled. Her lungs burned. Her strength faded. Headlights appeared on the distant shore. Stephen had arrived. Lucy cried out his name. Stephen ran toward the water. For one hopeful second, Lucy believed he was coming for her, but he swam past her, straight to Linda. He pulled Linda onto his shoulder and swam her to safety. Lucy remained in the water. Her arms trembled, her vision blurred. She fought once more, not just for herself, but for the life growing inside her. Then everything went dark. Lucy woke up under bright hospital lights. Her body felt heavy. Her mind felt empty. A doctor stood quietly beside her bed. "You're stable," he said gently, "but you lost the baby." The words didn't sound real. They landed like stones inside her chest. Lucy did not cry. She did not scream. She simply stared at the ceiling, as if her soul had stepped out of her body. Stephen arrived later that night. His eyes were red. His voice was shaking. "Lucy, I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I thought you were just saying you were pregnant so I would come back. I didn't know it was true." Lucy slowly turned her head toward him. "You chose another woman over your own wife," she said calmly, "and the woman you didn't choose was carrying your child." Stephen collapsed to his knees beside the bed. "Please, talk to me. Yell at me. Say something." Lucy finally spoke. "We're getting a divorce." His head snapped up. "No, please." Lucy's voice remained steady. "This marriage has been a humiliation ritual for me since the day I said I do. You married me because you thought I was easy to control. But tonight, I lost more than our baby. I lost my old self." She took a slow breath. "And I will never be that woman again." After leaving the hospital, Lucy checked into a small hotel. She cried quietly. She mourned the baby she lost and the life she had imagined. Weeks later, the divorce was finalized. No drama, no shouting, just signatures and an ending. Months passed. Lucy changed. She became confident. She learned to say no. She learned to protect her peace. She co-founded a support foundation for women who had experienced pregnancy loss, a safe place for healing without shame. One evening at a charity gala, Lucy saw Stephen. Their eyes met across the room. Stephen saw the woman he had lost forever. Lucy felt nothing. No pain, no anger, no regret. She turned and walked past him, and in that moment, Stephen finally understood what he had destroyed. If this story touched you, please help us by subscribing to our channel for support.